Good evening. If I could have your attention, please. Would you all please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please? AG, if you were going to go to the podium. Yes. You want to go to the podium? Yes.
May we pray? Father in heaven, it's a great day that you gave us here in Vienna, West Virginia today. We ask your blessing on all of us this evening. We're thankful for the beauty of the season. This evening we ask that we have your wisdom, the wisdom that comes from your word. And we ask that we have your peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding. We are thankful for our time together. Ask your blessing on all of us. For I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Tomorrow's Veterans Day, and so I'd like to remind you all to please thank a vet. Without them, we would have no life that we live today. So if you join me for the pledge, please. Mr. Azinger, if you'd lead us.
The audience, please join me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for December the 10th, 2022. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. First item this evening that we're going to do is a presentation by Delegate Roger Connolly. Roger? It should be on.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, folks. One of my very favorite things about being a member of the legislature is the opportunity that it gives us legislators to put monies right back in our community in a series of what they call LEADA grants. Earlier this year, I was here and give a check, I think it was for $8,000 to Jack and the Friends of Vienna for the Tree Trek project. Just a couple of months ago, I was able to give a check to Chief Scholl and the folks at the fire department for $8,500 to purchase boots for the firefighters. And tonight, I'm very pleased to be able to be here and present another check to Jack and the Friends of Vienna on behalf of the state of West Virginia, the House of Delegates, and Governor Justice. And I'll read that letter real quickly. Congratulations on the Local Economic Development Assistant Grant you have been awarded by the West Virginia House of Delegates. Please find enclosed a check for $13,000 as requested by the West Virginia House of Delegates to be used for equipment, rental, book publishing, Trek Vienna projects, and the Friends of Vienna. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns related to your grant, contact the West Virginia House of Delegates Finance Committee. Sincerely, Jim Justice, Governor. And the most important part, Jack, is the check for $13,000. And there again, to be used at your discretion for the tree track project, whether it's to put the finishing touches on it, additions to it, upkeep to it. And then there's also funds there to use at your discretion for the Freedom Festival. So we thank you, and we thank your committee for everything that you've done for this community and the hard work.
And I'm going to do what most men do, which is pass the check for one.
Hey, Jack. Hey, Jack. Since we've got so many young people in here tonight, would you give them a brief snapshot of what the Trek Vienna program is, please?
Yeah, thank you.
Brief, quickly.
I'll try
We have
to.
comments in it.
Yes. Trek Vienna is a program that we started a few years ago through the Tree and Beautification Commission, and really we copied it off of a community in Wisconsin to where they were doing a small walking trails on a city park walk, and it was tree identification. We expanded it. We took all of Vienna's history, put Vienna's history into it. We have the structure that's built down here by Vienna Baptist Church. It has the history of Vienna going back to 1771 coming forward. You can't believe the amount of museums that have been involved with working with us on the project. It's got Vienna's history. We laid out trails on city streets where we identified trees through the Division of Forestry. We've got the distances on the trails. It'll automatically track you when you start walking through GPS. You're able to walk the trails and learn about Vienna, learn about Vienna's history. There's QR codes on the history down there so you can log on with your phones. It brings up a 21-page online guide that'll tell you about the history of Vienna. We also developed 2 school books. They go in up to pre-K, I believe, up to kindergarten, and first grade up to 3rd grade. We're developing a PowerPoint presentation right now so we can show the teachers how to teach about Trek Vienna, what it does. But it's hopefully to get families together with their kids and going out and walking and enjoying the community and learning about it and exercise. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If I could have all the Braves come up front and the coaches, please. So this is one of my favorite parts of my job, is I get to introduce the young athletes that come from our town. And this particular group is the 10 and under boys baseball team, the Vienna Braves, who are with the champions of the Mineral Wells Baseball League this year. And so I'd like a round of applause for these athletes. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to give the microphone to your coaches, and they're going to tell us a little bit about you all. And then we're going to give the microphone to each one of you. And what we'd like you to do is tell us your name and what position you play. All right? Coach?
My name's Matt Pyatt, and we had a great group of boys this fall. I believe there were 8 teams in the division that we played. Finished the season 14-1, and ran through the tournament against a good Worthington team to become champions this fall. So, a great group of boys.
Hello, my name's Landon Horner, and my position is catcher.
Hi, my name is Logan Childress, and I play outfield.
Hi, my name is Chase, and I play pitcher.
Hi, my name's Noah, and I play pitcher and first base.
Hello, my name's Boylan, and I play outfield.
Hello, my name is Evan, and I play left center.
Hello, my name is Carter, and I play second base and left center.
Hi, my name is Thomas, and I play shortstop.
Hi, my name is Gavin, and I play third base.
Hi, my name is Brendan, and I play right field.
So we'd like to present these certificates to you, and they're in alphabetical order. So Mr. Zeelam will read your name. If you would, please come over and get your certificate.
Logan Childress. Kevin Coleman. Ethan Hess. Landon Horner. Noah White. Brendan Peoples, Chase Petty, Thomas Pyatt, Raylan Fry, Evan Snodgrass, Carter Taylor, and the coaches, Mike Coleman, Chris Childress,
All right, fellas, we need to get a picture. So if you would, let's step right back behind you. Right here. Pack it in tighter. James, move them where you need. Are we good, parents? No more pictures? Okay, one more, two. All right, here we go. Congratulations, fellas. All right, so the next item on our agenda this evening is our public forum. I'd like to go over the rules with you all for just a moment. You're allowed 5 minutes to speak. You don't have to speak for 5 minutes, obviously, but at any rate, we allow 30 minutes on the council agenda to take care of that. So the first person on our agenda this evening is Henry Sasson.
Is this thing on? Yeah. Okay, Henry Sasson, 1307 Greenmont Hills Drive in Vienna. Why am I here? Well, two things. Number one is about the pool here at Jackson. A good idea would be, and I don't know if it was already done, is to get an idea of what it would cost to replace in kind, just to get an idea of the cost, because the city of Parkersburg is saying that their pool to replace is going to cost so much in reference to what. And when Pickering and Associates, I talked with them after the meeting at Southwood, they weren't asked to do that. So it's always good to have a reference point. That's number one. Second item on the list is how many in city council have actually attended a high school swim meet in the last 3 to 4 years? Raise the hands. It's crazy, ain't it? Absolutely. Good. I would like to open up an invitation formally to all of city council to attend 4 meets. Why 4? It gives you a flavor of the facilities that are around here and what we have to work with. If you attend the meets, they're on a Saturday. If you get there at 10 o'clock, you can see the biggest part of the setup, the layout, all the people and everything that's going around the system. The first one is on November 19th. It's a week from this coming Saturday. It's at the bridge over in Fairmont. It's a new facility. It's got 10 lanes for a pool and a practice pool on the side. The second meet that I would like for you guys to attend is at Myland Park. It's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday in December. I think it's the 8th, 9th, 10th. Off the top of my head. Why that meet? Because there's about 600 kids that show up. And you can see what a facility can hold and what it can do with that many swimmers, the spectators being the parents, and all the money that shows up in that town for 3 days. Then there's 2 meets locally. The first one is on January 7th, and that's going to be at the Boys and Girls Club with Parkersburg South, where they hold their meet. Basically, the Boys and Girls Club shuts down for the day. People shuffle in and out of different rooms. Kids can't watch all the kids swim because there's not enough room for everybody. So they fill up the gyms, the hallways, the entryways. They got big screens, everything that you can see to try to watch meet. And then the other meet is on January 14th, which is the PHS Penguin Invitational. That too, the Y shuts down for the whole day. People are sitting in both gyms, hallways, wherever they can sit there. It's crowded, it's a big event, and that is what we try to do as parents, as boosters, and as the community to support swimming in high school. That'll give you a contrast of the 4 different facilities in the region and why I've been working, trying to push for a regional aquatic center for the Mid-Ohio Valley here that'll serve many counties, not just Wood County. Why do I want you to come and look at it? Because starting in January, I'm going to reach out to possibly Governor Justice or Gail Manchin to get all the city council, the Wood County Commission, the school board, and so forth together under one roof to see what we can do to try to make something happen for this area. So I thank you, and I look forward to seeing each of you guys at all these 4 meets. Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment so you all would understand how this process works. Typically, the public forum is where you as concerned citizens get to express your opinion about things. And so I wanted to tell you that we typically do not respond when you say whatever you're going to say. This is simply your opportunity to do that. And so I wanted to make a statement before we do that. I knew what Henry was going to do because he's a swimmer. Okay. And so the point that I want to make before you all get a chance to come up, and I'll add the time, okay, is that I personally have known every person that sits at this bench for many, many years. And there is not one person that sits on this bench that doesn't love the kids in Vienna and support every program that is out there. And the reason that you all are here this evening is because you care passionately about the programs that are run and the people that run them. And so when I say to you that every one of us wants the best for every child that lives in our area and our community for our recreational sports. And no matter what happens with any of the decisions that were made or will be made concerning the fields that we have to do our sports activities on, there will not be one child that is turned away. Not one. I can assure you that every person that sits up here knows very well how popular and what it all means. I think most everybody up here came through all the Vienna Rec programs. I know I did. And so when I say that to you, you can, without a doubt, have 100% confidence that we will fix whatever the issue is that we need to fix. No matter what the sport is or no matter what area is, we will take care of it. So let's go to the next speaker then. I can't read the name. I apologize. I believe it's Nick Clegg.
Hi, my name is Nick Clegg. I'm an active volunteer and coach for Vienna Rec Baseball. I spend multiple hours each week at the baseball fields interacting with the young kids that are now impacted by the decision made to take away the fields. So I'm here tonight to represent those athletes. I understand that there's a need for a soccer facility within the city of Vienna, and I've emphasized multiple times that this need has been ignored for too long. My question for the board, the city council, and mayor is how was the decision made? I have never seen you all at a baseball field observing, asking questions, or even speaking with the volunteers like myself. Mayor Rapp was quoted saying that only 60 kids would be impacted from baseball because of this decision. How was that number calculated? I had 14 players on my 8U team that used Field 5 twice for fall and countless times for practice over the years. Where or what plans have been submitted for the future use of the fields? Vienna Rec Baseball has no issue with the removal of Field 4 because it is 100% underutilized. There are multiple resources that I feel the City of Vienna, Mayor, Vienna Rec Board, and City Council is not utilizing, such as Jackson Middle School or various other sites such as Greenmont that the flag team or the tackle team use for practice. It is easier to paint lines on a soccer field than it is to find land to build a baseball field. So why was this decision made so quickly and not involving the citizens like myself that volunteer their time for these programs? Is cannibalizing one sport for another truly the answer, or is this just a Band-Aid because this need has gone unaddressed for so long? These are the questions that not only myself deserve, but the parents and children this impacted deserves.
Andy Offenberger.
Good evening. I want to make this quick. Go over. He hit some points. So I'm going to kind of cut off because I know we have some other folks that's coming up that make some really good statements here. My name is Andy Offenberger. I have been very grateful and fortunate enough to help coach the Williamstown Blue Bombers U8 baseball team for the last few seasons and be a part of this Vienna Rec League. As a lot of you guys know, and maybe you don't know, our fields down in Williamstown just weren't playable this year. We've had issues over the past couple seasons, so having access to these fields was a huge part for us to have even the opportunity to be able to play this year. It's a big, huge factor in that. One way or another, we've used every single one of them fields down there the last few seasons, whether we've prepped for games, for big games coming up, or whether we're playing other games because there's so many other games getting played on the other side of the street. I'm sure every other coach that's in here supporting would have my back when I say it's so awesome to be able to have the ability to utilize an open field when we need a much needed practice for these kids to learn. Just to touch, I coach soccer myself, have for years with my kids. Soccer is a great sport. It needs much love as well. But for how much it takes to maintain a baseball field is, to me, much more important. And I feel, and I'm sure others do as well, you can utilize a different location for what it takes to build a soccer field, in my opinion. Your baseball facilities are great. They're well maintained. You should be proud of that. My kids and I do not take that for granted, and neither should you. So please make the right decision to keep these fields as they are, or really listen to what these other guys are going to come up and say on opportunities for going forward. And just please make this a place for our kids, as you said, for this community to do what they love and learn and play this great sport of baseball. Thank you for your time.
Brenda Powell.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Powell. I live at 1409 31st Street here in Vienna. I wanted to talk to you for just a minute about the pool access ability for the handicapped, people with disabilities. We had that discussion prior at other meetings, but I wanted to share this picture. It's not real great. Let's see if I can blow it up a little bit. Put this out underneath of it, and you can see it. This is something I found on the internet. It's actually a lift that goes down into the water to where that it's at a level of the level at the bottom of the pool, to where that in the 3-foot section, it would be ideal. There's also, excuse me, a steps at the left side there that, you can go up and down so it doesn't block off an entrance, getting in and out of the pool. But I wanted to present this so that you could look at it and think about it and maybe pursue that idea instead of actually the lift that you currently have. That's, this one's electric, but the other one is, with it being its hand, I think cranked or whatever. But, and you were going to get another one, so the resolution said, in place of the ramp that I also showed previously too. This is something that maybe the CDBG money could be used for, with being handicapped, whatever choices that you make. But I hope that, it'll be something that will benefit the community. I wish that you would have had a meeting with those that are affected with disabilities, especially for them, and had a meeting for them so that they could voice their opinion about what their needs are in regards to the pool. That's just something I wanted to say. Also wanted to mention about what has been said here regarding meetings. The meetings with the pool itself have not been what they should have been, in my opinion, but also it talks about it with the ethics committee, and that except underneath of 69A-3, proceedings to the open public notice of meetings, except and express especially otherwise provided by law, whether heretofore or hereinafter enacted, and except as provided in section 4 of this article, all meetings of any government body should be open to the public. So any meetings where there's discussion and there's decisions being made, it should be a public meeting, is my understanding of this, and it should be available. And I think the public and the ones that are here should be able to have the opportunity to be able to come to meetings and be able to express themselves and what issues that may be going on in our community. I just hope that you will do better in providing information on your website, to where that you will put the meetings on the website along with the agenda and the supporting documents for every meeting that the city is holding. That is a public meeting. That is my request. Thank you so much.
Charlie Taylor.
For starters, I have 2 children that participate in both Vienna rec soccer and baseball, and 1 more that will participate in the future. Thanks. Yes, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but I believe that my wife put it on Facebook. That's not small, just put it in front of that camera, but I wanted to have something visual for you guys to be able to see. This is a to scale layout of 4 soccer fields on field 4 only. This is what, to my understanding, what the VRA wanted was 4 soccer fields this size. With adequate space for everything that they need. There's space in there for kids to be on the sideline during games, and we can have 4 games going on at different levels at this facility. And the most important part about this is that it has the least financial impact. It impacts baseball almost negligibly, and soccer gets everything they want. I just don't understand how much thought was put into this decision before it was actually made. I mean, I made this drawing in an hour on a Sunday morning at my kitchen table. I mean, it took no time at all. I'll give you guys a copy of it.
Charlie, I already have it. If you want to slide it down to the rest of it and see it, I have it.
Anyway, as I was saying, I have 2 children that participate in both Vienna rec soccer and baseball. I'm not just a baseball person. This room is packed full of people in the same situation as me. These are parents of both soccer and baseball. They're very upset that baseball is being taken from our youth. Vienna rec baseball is a great program. It's getting better every year. We have great coaches and a ton of kids that want to participate and learn how to play the game. This change will be a crushing blow, ultimately taking it out of existence over a few short years. 4U and 6U programs will be the first to go, but when they're removed, their older siblings in the upper age brackets will move with them. And as time goes on, each age group will phase out, starting first with 8U, then 10U, and ultimately 12U. This affects more than just Vienna. Vienna rec hosts teams from Williamstown, as you saw a minute ago, New Martinsville, Ritchie County, and others, so it creates problems for these areas too. When my youngest son is able to play 4U, I'm not going to take him to another program and then bring my other kids to this program. It's hard enough having 3 kids on 3 separate teams, let alone them playing at 2 different locations. And there's a ton of other people in that same exact situation. I'm still in disbelief that we're even having this conversation and that this was ever even considered for a second, let alone pass a vote in the city council. The corruption in the VRA is at an all-time high. This is an organization that was started to help the youth of Vienna and was started for baseball more than anything else. In case you didn't know, there's only 1 board member of the VRA that has a care for baseball, and that's Steve Black. The rest are all in it for soccer and soccer only. The board of the VRA knew this would become an issue if Steve found out about it. what they were trying to do, so they hid it from him. The first secret vote happened while Steve was out sick with COVID. Then the second secret vote, they waited until he went on vacation. No one ever said a word to him about it. Then they went on to city council, again keeping a secret from both Steve and Tim Nolan, and got it passed by the city. The true character of these individuals is now out in the open for everyone to know how truly crooked they are, and these are supposed to be the role models and the ones in charge of sport for our children. I'll skip over that part. As for city council, how do you vote on and pass such a drastic change like this without first doing your due diligence? Unlike the VRIA, we the people have the ability to change the people sitting on the city council board, and believe me, we'll make sure everyone remembers this vote when the next election cycle comes around. I just highly recommend and hope that one of the board members makes a motion on this matter, again, to save our baseball program. So please vote on it again if you can to reverse this decision. I can have one more thing. So what I'm showing you is very possible, very minimal investment. It's definitely a lot cheaper than taking out 3 baseball fields and moving 2 of them elsewhere. As I mentioned, that drawing is drawn to scale. I'm a registered professional engineer. I do takeoff. I create construction drawings and do takeoff for construction drawings every day for a living. That drawing is very possible to become real life. So if any of you want to explore any other options or anything else, I'm more than happy to dedicate my time.
Tim Nolan.
I'll make this short and sweet because I want some other people to talk about this, but I think this is give the city of Vienna a huge black eye. I think that this has not been talked about. They've known since middle June, I know for a fact, they've been talking about doing this. I had a person, one of our coaches, he's here, he talked to 2 board members of VRA on a Sunday and asked them, what's your plan? They didn't have a plan. Not one board member from Vienna Rec or the people who's involved came to Steve Black or me for any numbers. Steve came to me 3 years ago, over 3 years ago, I think, and asked me, do you think we get baseball back? I said, I'll give it a shot. I get to talk, I get the mouth for it. We went from 168. Does you guys know how many numbers we got in 3 years? 366 in the spring. We got over 40 teams played on our fields. In fall ball, we had 16 teams that played. 8 of them played elsewhere half their games. Half of them. So if you put 1, 2, 3, you got 14 teams that can play on them fields. And you get any practice on Saturdays and Sundays because we're playing Monday through Friday. You can't do it. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to cut programs. I heard today from a board member, I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to throw it out there. They want to put it across the community building. No, that's a safety issue. We took away from that. Safety comes first for our kids. Second, I was told, thinking about putting it above the community building, or the rec building, I mean. Why does baseball have to move? We're growing too. We're growing big time. And we bring money into the city, but that shouldn't be an issue. This is about our kids. If my grandson can't play as a 5-year-old, he's going to go elsewhere. My other grandson's going to go. And I'm going to tell you something. When we lose our coaches that we got coaching now, we're in a mess. Without these coaches, Matt Pyatt, all these coaches here, they work with their kids. And they have practice. Hey, just show up. There's sometimes they have kids from other teams show up to practice. But I know you guys said not one kid's going to be affected, but it's going to be affected. Troy called me in and showed me that. I thought I was happy as anything. I mean, that's 4 fields what they wanted. Now I was told today they wanted 6 fields. But why should baseball be punished for this. I mean, I think you guys got railroaded. I really do. Because Vienna Rec did not do their job here. They didn't care. If they cared, they would have talked to Steve Black about, hey, how many kids you have in the fall? How many you have in the spring? Let's do fall soccer, 246. How many do you have in baseball? 197. We turned away 27 kids away because we didn't have enough coaches. How many did we turn away in spring? Over 30 because we didn't have enough coaches, but we put 14 kids on the team. 6 for you. Does anybody know how many kids we got? 16 to 15, 90. They played on field 6. Field 5, we had 4 teams. 3 of 15, 1 of 14, 59. We had 16 played on field 1. 13 kids on the team. Some of them have 14, because close to 14. That's 78. But half of them teams played on field 5. 9 and 10, we have 4 teams. 14 to 13, 52. Girls softball, of 12 and under, we had 2 teams of 13 apiece. Everybody else has 10 or 11. I made them guys take 13 because I want to get more kids involved. That's what we do. But what you guys are doing is wrong. This girls softball grew. Chuck said, you got to build it up. You got to build it up. We had 19 kids, only 1 coach, and she took all 19 kids and 8U. 10U, we had a team of 13. We had 2 teams at 12U, 13 and 16. We had 366 kids, and you guys came in and railroad them and take away from this. I feel sorry for these guys over here. I feel they got railroaded big time. I think, and that's how you guys make decisions. It worries me what you make for cities' decisions that was involved in this. I'm sorry I'm making people mad, but this is the truth. I wasn't going to speak today, but I had to. I'm doing it for the kids, not for me. I'm not doing it for the parents. I'm doing it for the kids. Anybody can tell you down there, I might screw up some practices. I might double practice sometimes. So quit laughing, Mr. Horner. But we play games down there. We play a lot of games. We don't like these. Look at Worthington, 2014, 4 years ago. Can anybody tell me how many teams they had this year? 2-8, 2-10, 2-12 in the spring. 6 teams they had. I don't know how many they had 6 and under. I think they had 3, but I'm not for sure. We're growing like crazy. I think we're going to have 425 kids this year.
Tim, I'm sorry your time.
That's okay. I want to thank you for your time.
Stand right there, young man. Hey, Tim. Tim. You know, in the comments that you and some of the other speakers have said before, there are some things that I don't think you all are being honest about. And I would not say this if I were not 100% true on this one. All right? You're making it out like this city council made an unbiased decision about something.
No.
Just let me finish. Okay? The minute that this thing came before the agenda on our meeting, Mr. Black was in my office for me to ask him, what are the numbers? I specifically asked him because I knew this was going to be a problem. Okay? And the numbers that were given to me and the numbers that were shared with the rest of this council were, if this move happened, that there would only be 60 kids that would be affected by this. Okay?
And he told me that was field
when
4.
you look at the rest of the people that sit here, and there are comments that are made about Vienna Rec's crooked and Vienna Rec is, you know, all these things. They're just like you. They're volunteers that spend their time trying to make us better. And so when we as a sitting body get a unanimous recommendation from Vienna Rec and from the Vienna Park Board that they endorse this, and then I have a conversation before it comes to council and find out that the numbers are 60 and 342. 342 soccer kids as opposed to 60 is a huge difference.
Soccer?
All right? 342 soccer, 60 baseball. But, and I would say this to anyone, there was not one discussion, one word ever about cutting programs. Not one. Because no one up here would support cutting programs. And that was not part of the dialogue. And I had that same conversation with you in my office.
That's right.
Did I vary my saying any one bit?
And I believe it. But I didn't say it was all you guys. I said, I think you guys got a black guy because they didn't do their job. Vienna Rec did not do their job. They didn't come to Steve. They didn't come to me. They know I know they're not. And they knew that we was growing because I told them when after sign-ups, that we're up by like 80 kids from last year. And we have doubled by then. I never said one time up here that you guys was crooked or anything. I said you guys got given a black eye because of Vienna Rec. VRIA. That's what I said up here. I did, Mayor.
Mike Butcher.
Mayor, did we get that time back? The reply?
Yes,
Get that back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome.
Mike Butcher.
Mike Butcher, 39th Street, Vienna. I've coached football, baseball for 16 years, still presently coaching in Vienna. And Mayor, if one kid's affected, that's too many.
I agree.
So, if you can find a reason for 60, you can find a reason for 300. I'm going to let the baseball guys take care of this. I'm behind them 100%. My problem is the vape stores in Vienna. So, gambling establishments aren't allowed to go within so many feet of a church, a school, or whatever. We got one right at the end of Jackson Middle School, where a high school bus drops kids off. We got a vaping problem at Jackson now already. Now we're forcing it in their face. You know, they get off the bus, there's a vape store. They walk home, there's a vape store. I think you guys made a bad decision there too, letting that vape store go in the old Dairy Queen. There's enough of them. We got enough problem with youth today. We don't need to help them. And you can say, well, you got to be 18. We've all been there. We know how that works. If they can sell it, they're going to sell it. Typically, you see a coming to Vienna soon thing. I come home from work and there's the sign. Drive-through vape store. Stupid. In Vienna. That's all I got. Start making better.
Coriosi. All right, thank you. Zach Nolan.
Good afternoon. My name is Zach Nolan, citizen of Vienna. I am on the baseball topic here tonight, and I do want to thank Mr. Mancuso. He was one of the only representatives that I reached out to that did reply to my reaching out. I did not reach out to all of you, but I mean, looking at that list of who I needed to talk to is a problem. I coach, assistant coach with 2 baseball teams. I volunteer with the flag football team. I coach at the high school. I'm very involved in youth athletics. Those guys that are on those boards are not representatives of us. They do not come down to those fields. They do not show up to the games. They do not show up to practices. They sit on a board and leave. When I contacted them and did not hear anything back, it's hard to find when meetings are happening. It's hard to find how to get on these boards to get representation to protect our kids. Again, Mr. Taylor, who is an engineer, has developed a plan. In less than 1 week of us finding out that this situation was happening, he developed a plan. And I hope you guys take time to consider that plan, to consider a new option to save these fields, because it's not necessary to cut kids from the program. And that will happen. Mr. Mancuso, I do believe that your information that you were given is not true. We do have numbers to back that up. And if that was needed, it is available. I really don't have anything else to say, but please reconsider for our kids. We do not want to lose what we've built for so many years trying to get this back on track. Thank you, guys.
See if Teresa's sitting in there, Adam. There's been some questions about how to get information. Would you please make everyone aware that we have a new website, that the old one got shut down, and our Facebook account? Would you please tell them where it is?
In August, Facebook shut our Facebook page down. We did not close it down because there were so many followers, and I'm the administrator for that account as well as my own personal account. Combined, they considered that a safety and security issue. Facebook shut our Facebook page down. We had nothing to do with that. We were not even able to create a new one until September. So the new Facebook page is Vienna, West Virginia, City of Vienna, West Virginia. There's no comma, City of Vienna, West Virginia. Please join that. We send out information all about Vienna on that.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Jason Cesare? Is that close?
Yeah. In parentheses, it says share.
Ah, there you go. I thought you were sharing your time with someone. I apologize.
It's all right.
Jamie.
I'm going to try to be quick because I got a lot. I'm a baseball guy, but at the same time, before I even start, I want to tell you I'm a parent of 2 children, and they both, one doesn't play soccer anymore. It's not his interest anymore. He's a baseball guy, and my daughter's, she likes both, so she's still doing both. My daughter's 4 years old, so right now she's taking advantage of both programs. She plays on the soccer field on Saturdays, and during the week she plays on the field, the baseball field, right next to the soccer fields. Now, I just want to give you a quick background about me. I'm not from this area at all. In fact, I'm from the state up north. I'm one of those stinking Buckeyes. But the reason why I'm here is because of baseball. That's why I live in this city. So just a quick background about where I'm from, because this is very important. So without going into too many details, I had a little bit of a rough childhood. My parents were divorced before I was 1, and right across the street from me was a baseball field that looks exactly like Field 6. It was a beautiful thing. And so a lot of times to deal with my stress as a child, that's where I basically lived on a daily basis. And kids were a little bit different when I was younger. It's something I've been trying to bring back. We lived on that Sandlot. The movie Sandlot, that was where I was from. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know if I would be who I am today if it wasn't for that Sandlot across the street, because it taught me at a very young age how to channel the things I was going through as a child. Now, I teach middle school, and I see on a daily basis children who are going through it. And we're all going through something, but it's pretty sad because a lot of today's problems are heightened more than they were when I was a child. These kids are battling against things more than what I was. And it's like when you're going to take another outlet from them, a lot more are going to turn. We're just going to lose more and more statistics, because right now that's what it is. It's a statistics game, excuse me. So long story short, I live in this city because of baseball, because I played at Ohio Valley, which is no longer in existence, but I got my 4 years of baseball there. And then I met my wife in this town, and now I live here, and I'm raising my children here, and I'm very proud to be a resident of Vienna in West Virginia. Now, I hear a lot of good solutions, and what I'm not hearing is that it really wasn't discussed, or it really wasn't the constituents that you guys represent weren't brought in here to discuss. Now, this is what I can speak on from experience, because I am in the front row. I coach a lot of baseball teams. It's my life. In fact, excuse my appearance, but it's why I am the way I am, because I don't have time to shave. It's all I do. I train athletes. I came from a training session to be here to tell you guys what you're doing is wrong right now. You're gonna fix an issue, because I understand soccer has an issue, and I'm not against soccer. My daughter and my son benefited from it, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sport. I mean, it requires a lot of cardio, and it's just as beneficial to kids as baseball is. But you're going to create an issue by fixing an issue. You're taking from one group of kids, and this is why I'm saying this, because you guys are going to say whatever you're going to say, no, we're not. We're just going to send them somewhere else. They can walk across the community building or whatever. But here's the issue with that, okay? I had issues scheduling ball fields as it was, okay? Another thing I did, when the spring started and before baseball season, when the weather first broke, I would organize just plain workouts, one Sunday a month. 6 of those since the spring broke, 6 of those to now, where just random. I try to contact as many kids and parents as I can and say, hey, bring your kids down. When they get down here, we're just going to organize a Sandlot game. No coaching, no working out. We're going to play baseball the way that we used to when we were kids. And next time I'm doing it, I'm going to invite you guys to come check it out, because the coolest thing about fields 5 and 6, I can do that there because they're available a lot of times, especially on the weekends. Like Tim was saying, Monday through Friday, no, out of the question, because they don't even have lights. A lot of times we got to use field 3 after everybody's done because of the lights. But there during the week, no. But Saturday and Sunday, it's such a beautiful blessing to not have to unlock a gate, to say, hey, we're showing up here just like the Sandlot days. And I promise you, I have a minimum of 20 kids that show up. That's the minimum. And we're busting out into 2-3 teams and playing the game the way it should be. Now, here's the thing. It's more than 60 kids. That was if Field 4 was being taken with those plans right there. That's what's going to happen. And we were pretty happy with that solution because that's the most underutilized field. 1, 2, 3 used every night. 5, 6 is used on a very consistent basis. Now, I brought something here that's worth more than $1 million to me. And this is how I want to end this. Okay? So this is a game ball that my son earned. And on it we wrote, it was the tournament last year and my kid was on fire. Now I want to tell you, as a coach, I also am a dad and I coach my son's team. And any of you that have coached with me or even coached against me know, I know it's a disservice to the others and it's something I've been working on, but I'm a little harder on my son than the rest of them. It's just how I am. He's also a pretty good ball player and he's starting to fall in love with the game. But we've struggled in our father-son relationship with this game because of that. And I will never forget when he got this game ball, the coaches told him, hey, this kid didn't make an out this whole entire tournament. We got runners up. And he had to drop in the batting order to the 8th spot just for strategy. And he took it like a champ, team player, life lessons, what this game was teaching him. And it was so great as a dad watching him. And after the game was over, we got in the car and he gave me this. And he said, Dad, you deserve this because of the time and energy you put into this. By the way, is 8U. 8 years old. That's Field 5, 8U. And he said, you deserve this. And I don't think he understood the amount of gold he was handing me. You can't buy this off me for $1 million. And that doesn't happen if you take those fields.
I'm sorry, I was just told that I gave the incorrect Facebook. It is City of Vienna WV. No comma. City of Vienna WV. Sorry.
Steve Black.
Good evening. You folks know me. I'm Steve Black. I'm the Parks Director. First and foremost, we're responsible for 550 acres of property through Vienna, which we do a pretty good job, I think, of maintaining. Part two, I've been on the Vienna Rec Board for 28 years, serving 26 as its treasurer. My kids have come through the program, have played almost every sport. I've coached almost every sport. Charlie was right. My love is baseball. Grew up in Williamsport. Played baseball through college until knee operation number 3 ended that career, but that's not why I'm here. Some comments were made about things that I said, and it was basically in an email that I sent to you folks on October 26th. And I just want to mention, in the fall, when we do the same thing on Field 4, the largest ball field, for several years, Field 4 has been shared with Vienna Rec for soccer. Actually, this was the first summer in 4 years that we needed to use the large field for age-appropriate baseball, 12 and under. I completely see their point. Baseball could have 50 to 60 players needing that field next spring versus the current 240 for soccer, which was in the fall. So I did say 50 to 60 for Field 4. Then I go on at the end. You never said anything about programs being eliminated, kids being turned away. At the last sentence I have says, a move is included in the resolution will limit those opportunities, forcing potential participants to find other leagues away from Vienna. Kids leaving Vienna. Well, I wrote another email, and you all got it yesterday. And now you know who the mystery engineer is. Thank you, Charlie. But in here I go into next spring and summer, we're hoping for 50 to 60 kids to play 12U and 14U baseball on Field 4. These are the only age groups to use that field. All other age groups use fields 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Then I go into the various numbers that are being used. And again, I understand 200, 400, whatever, versus maybe 50 or 60. We need the bigger field for those kids, but we'll try to make do. I go through, talking about this drawing, there's some options, but I said this is a good viable option to avoid eliminating programs and turning kids away. 4 fields on on field number 4. I was at a park board meeting last night, and I brought this up. And, well, I'll leave it at that. But it was brought to my attention that this group was not even planning to use field 4 this spring, perhaps in the fall. And that's exactly what I said in the beginning. You know, let us get through spring, and in the fall, we're looking at some new, a better program. We may only do baseball in the spring and summer, and this will help soccer as well. They can use 4, 5, and 6 in the fall. I made that clear, or I thought I made that clear, but obviously I didn't. So the very last thing that I want to mention, I said my position remains that fields 5 and 6 must continue to be used for baseball, softball, and t-ball. Field 4 should be dedicated to soccer only. The decision was recommended by folks that did not have all the facts and should be corrected at this time. Melissa came to me when all this was going on, after all this was going on, and nobody, rec, park board, whatever, council, nobody ever came to me. So, yeah, I was a little upset. And I had voiced that, voiced my position to the rec board, at which time then it was brought back to me from an elected official that I'm an enemy. Okay, sure, I'm a baseball guy, but you know what? There's 10 sports, including disc golf. I try to help, my guys try to help however we can with the facilities, with equipment, whatever the case may be. We do not want to turn kids away. Now, have I ever said that? Absolutely. I've talked to some coaches and parents. What's going to happen if you don't have these fields? We're going to have to cut programs and we'll turn kids away. Start with 3, 4 t-ball, 5, 6 t-ball. Hopefully it won't get to softball. I have a love for softball. Had a daughter play in college, had another one that could have played in college. But there's 10 sports. And I can't be totally partial, but right now I'm being backed into a corner, and baseball, softball, and t-ball deserve a fair chance. That's all I've got.
Again, I'm sorry. I have no idea. It's either Dave or Daryl. Number 12, Valley View Drive. And I need your name.
What's the?
Daryl? Derek.
Was it Bush that was talking about the vape shop?
Yes.
I like your comment about one kid. You got upset about the one kid. Tell my 4-year-old he can't play t-ball. Okay, that's one kid. There's several other kids, not just one. I grew up on the south side. We always had great complexes. Okay, I live in the city of Vienna now. I'm proud to live in the city of Vienna. As much as it hurts me to say, my kids are going to be big reds. Okay. So I'm here to discuss the removal of the fields. Okay. I don't want this to be a baseball versus soccer thing, because that's not what it is. Okay. Both of our boys have done soccer. We had some good experiences with it. We had some bad experiences with it. The bad experiences, no organization. I hate to admit this. We ended up quitting halfway through the season. We couldn't get enough kids to play. Forfeits. We were borrowing kids from other teams just so our kids could go run around for half an hour. We never had, I'm not going to say we didn't have bad experiences with baseball. There was some issues, but we had a lot of good experiences too. And these are the good experiences here. We made a lot of friends. Sorry, let me get this pulled up. Apologize. Okay. And it upsets our family because it will affect us. Again, our littlest one, we're not going to do what Charlie and Zach said. We're not going to take one kid here, one kid there. If it boils down to it, see a Vienna Rec, we'll go somewhere else. That's all there is to it. We don't have the time, the resources. It's hard enough for me to coach on one field and my boys playing on the other field. It's hard enough for me to do that. It will have a trickle-down effect. I don't know if y'all have thought about that or how important sports is to you. Again, this will go into junior high and high school levels. Again, kids are going to go elsewhere, make friendships, and they're going to want to go play with their buddies, and I don't blame them. That's what I wanted to do. Again, I know we've talked about the numbers. You may have over 400 kids sign up for soccer. How many of those kids finish the season? You go down at the end of the season, and that may be irrelevant, but again, kids are forfeiting, teams are forfeiting games. Played a recent championship. One of my buddies said that there was 6 of them and maybe 10 on the other team. How fair is that? And this is just, to me, this is embarrassing. I've had friends from other organizations in town that have personally reached out to me and saying they don't realize how dumb this is. And I'm sorry, but that's how they said it. I'd like to wrap this up. I don't care if a kid wants to play hopscotch. There needs to be resources for these kids. And again, when I moved to Vienna, that's what I expect. I'm a citizen now. I know you have the support. You have people willing to help. Somebody mentioned in the October 27th meeting, I think, that there was a room for another field on the right side. I'm not an engineer. Charlie, is there room for another field? On the right side, can you tell me where there would be room for another baseball field? Yeah, I couldn't think so either. So, and I know you guys have already got your minds made up, but I just ask that you come together for a solution. Again, I don't want this to be a baseball soccer thing. These are my kids, and I'm not one to get up and talk and discuss, but when it affects me and my kids, I will. So I just ask that you reconsider that.
Well, thank you all for coming this evening. Obviously, from my initial remarks, you know that we're very attuned to this situation, and as I said, we will work it out. Okay? We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll get back into our regular agenda.
Just the one guy that said he didn't want to.
I'm still here. Same concept. So here's, I'll give you Oh yeah. I know where you live. You used to live. Yeah. I love Wallace food. Yeah. And we're not playing down there long. Well, and spring, that's where you got that's where it gets really hard. Like, because we are fair. You guys we got to meet again this Sunday. That's what I'm saying.
Don't do that.
Sorry, I'm on the air at 6:30 and 7. I thought it was 7. It always has to be 7. Well, I apologize for missing the fireworks, but I'm here for the rest of the business.
Now would be the time. We're also funny. They said you use that. And say, hey, we need this to help. And they said, like football championships. Yeah. Two being hey, when we were in Florida, I took a picture. That's why I said, so this you're pretty I know it's hard to go. Good, I'll play you. Sunday, and we're just exercising. They don't play this. I don't even listen.
I had no idea.
Board of Education. Give me a roll.
Hey, Tim.
Are you finished with this one? Or
Yeah, I finished.
remind me to pick him up before Roger comes. Clear your path.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back.
Got you.
We're back in session again. The report of the minutes from the October 27, 2022 council meeting and the November the 3rd, 2022 special council meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Councilman Leach, report of the treasurer, please.
I've reviewed reconciliation of funds for City of Vienna dated November 3rd, 2022. The accounts appear in order and the city is financially sound.
All right, thank you. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we move to new business. First item on our agenda this evening is a resolution amending the 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Program. Tony is here this evening. If you would take us through this, Tony.
Excuse me. The purpose of the resolution is to, basically the city of Vienna has two different housing programs, one for windows and doors and the other one for minor home improvements. We have had a considerable more applicants for the minor home improvement program than we have the windows and doors. So all we're asking for is to switch money from the windows and doors and to put it into the minor home improvement program.
Okay. We've been very successful this year in getting a lot more applicants than we've had in the past years. We've had to work really hard to get people to participate. And so I know that this year that we've ran into an issue where we need to transfer this money because we already have people that are in line to get these home repairs done. So
yes, we have enough applicants that if this passes, we'll be able to spend the money without any problem.
Okay. So the resolution is the City of Vienna is proposing the following amendment to the 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Program. It is a addition to the Minor Home Improvement Program in the amount of $35,916, and we're reducing the amount in the Windows and Doors Program by the amount of $35,916. Upon approval by the City of Vienna City Council, this proposed amendment will be forwarded to the HUD Pittsburgh office for their review and approval. All the necessary public hearings have been held, and this proposed resolution will be adopted the 10th day of November 2022. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution transferring the funds from one program to the next.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution amending our 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant Program. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Tony, thank you.
Thank you.
We have several people that are anxiously awaiting that amendment. So, thank you, ma'am. All right, so I'll turn the program over, the agenda over now to Recorder Elam for the continuing discussion on the Jackson pool design.
Yes, and I would like to, I'm going to move up here to the podium. Actually, let me just go ahead and do that. Garrett, can you help us? What's this?
You see on the screen?
Yeah, we're going to share. through the Zoom, so we need to bring up his Zoom account. Bring it
So I might just have to use his computer instead.
So as we're getting started here, let me say that as a veteran of the city, happy Veterans Day to any veteran.
Melissa, please give him the microphone. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
We are live streaming this, so there are people that can't hear you. So
Okay.
You're speaking to a lot more people than just us.
Gotcha. Well, happy Veterans Day. Okay, so I'm Richard Forn. I'm an architect with Omni Associates. And on the line from Orlando, Florida, couldn't get here because of the hurricane, is JT from Martin Aquatics. And so what we want to talk about tonight is the opinion of probable cost for all the concept designs that you see here and which you have apparently have reviewed and gone over. And I'll just kind of go through these real quick unless there's a question in regard to any of the concept designs that we have. Okay, so I'll just slip through these pretty quick. And so the first opinion of probable cost has to do with the two main pools. And the one pool is the pool that we're taking that's existing right now and renovating. And the other one is the wading pool, a new wading pool. So JT, can you hear us?
Oh, okay. Oh, hi, JT.
Can you hear me? Yes, we can.
We can hear you now. I think I'm gonna have to you might have to hang out here. And then I will, give me 1 second, and I will hold this near my microphone and see if it helps. Go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. This is JT from Martin Aquatics.
Can we hear that okay?
Yeah. Technology works.
All right, good. All right, go ahead.
All right, so JT, what we're looking at, and you can you see the screen?
I cannot.
Oh, okay. So what we're looking at is the opinion of probable cost for the main pool and the wading pool. If you just want to go over that.
I apologize. I still can't see it.
Well,
Still working on it. Hold on.
it's
I can see screen sharing when I stay in the meeting. You have your email there? I do. Okay, I'm gonna send you a link real quick.
Thank you very much for my call back in.
What's a consensus?
Council, did you guys receive the email that I sent earlier today? Okay, good. Okay, because that's what this is that he's sharing with us right now. So if you have your stuff in front of you, you can pull that up directly. Garrett is recreating it so that Mr. Foreign can share his screen with us at the same time, and so that JT can also see it. I can't wait to get out of hurricane season. This has been twice we've been affected by a hurricane.
Were you really?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. He's like, yeah, the qualifiers are canceled.
That's what I'm trying to trailer.
So now you're going back down.
No, I've never looked at property transmission out of Jackson. We weren't able to take anything out of it.
Yes, they recreate.
There is no just remember.
I was hoping that they would still. I was hoping.
Julie. Oh, yeah. Hey, Kurt, did you get a chance to look at the weather forecast on the map, how this thing tracking?
We went over it. Weather.
Tracking. Are we still going to get pounded tomorrow? We're going to get heavy rains, possibly up to 3 inches on some occasions, likely an inch and a half to 2 in the Mid-Ohio Valley generally. But the hurricane is not coming here. We're expecting a lot of rain. Yeah. And it's still tracking that way that tomorrow's going to be. Yeah, it ain't going to turn around. It's only going to hurt more or less. We do our best to guess. You've seen the spaghetti plots? Yeah, the firewalls. Yeah. Ian wasn't supposed to go into Fort Myers, remember? He was going to go north of Tampa. We lost my mom's phone. I like to follow the map, because usually where it's going, it gives you a good indication. There's a crazy spiral down there. Yeah, I thought, wow, that's not going to get us, but all of a sudden it's true now. It's extended, so. Well, this is how the earth redistributes moisture and energy. It's like the old pressure cooker that your mom used to cook with. This is how the earth moves. Lots of energy from the equator northward. So, this is called global warming, no matter how many people want to deny it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just look familiar.
Nope.
Hello.
Still. Okay.
Said everyone watching. Sharing my screen.
Okay, JT, can you hear or can you see the screen now?
There we go. I can hear you now.
All right, good. Thank you. And can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay. So, success. So if you want to just go down through your cost estimate.
Absolutely. So what we've got here, starting on the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got an outline of the main items for the main pool renovation work. I'll go briefly over and cover just a few items, and then if there are questions later, we can go into any level of detail or depth. The key elements here are the new liner replacement. So replacing the liner on the inside of the pool at the $105,000 value. We do have a placeholder here for the liner replacement acceleration. The original manufacturer of the liner and gutter for the pool, Chester Pools, is already currently booked through 2023. And so we've gotten an alternate proposal from a company called Renesys that is able to do the work for the liner replacement, but we may need to spend some additional dollars to get on their docket earlier in the season. So that's an allocation or an allowance at this point. Then you can see we've got piping and valve value, We do have a evaluation on a ramp solution. It is a custom ramp solution, so they've not been able to give me a hard cost at this point. What I can tell you is that it's estimated right now somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. The next line item is the allowance for 2 ADA lifts. So 2 ADA lifts is less than half the cost of a single ramp. So those are options that can be weighed out and decided on. Then we've got the cost for diving board, and then the next series of items are pumps, filters, chemical tanks, the surge tank, the autofill, a bunch of the sensors, magnetors, etc., controller, heater, and VFD. So you can see there at the bottom, we've got a subtotal of the equipment at roughly $550. Installation is based on a percentage cost of what we're seeing in the market currently, and then overhead profit numbers, again, broken down separate there. So you see the total valuation right now, the unit cost for the main pool renovations with all the changes to the pool, that comes out to just over $1 million to renovate the main pool and provide all brand new equipment for that. We will see in a separate slide values specifically for some of the additional items that are suggested to be added to the pool. We've broken those out as additional line items. You'll see that on the new slide. On the right-hand side of the page, we've got the costs for the waiting pool. So that starts with piping and valves, and then the structure and finishes. So you see the big number here, structure and finishes. So we're building a brand new structure there for that zero entry waiting pool. And then we've got water nozzles, the various pumps, filtration, surge tank, and then all the various devices, chemical feeders, chemical controller, heater, etc. And then in the same fashion, we've got the subtotal opinion for that value, which is the $235. Add on to that cost for installation, and then below that overhead profit, which is the contractor markups and costs, for a total of those for the 468. So if we take the million, just over $1 million for the total at the main pool and the waiting pool, we come to a value of approximately 1.5. We've got a design contingency here of 5% and a cost escalation or bid market contingency of 20%. As you know, and that brings us up to a $1.9 million opinion of cost at this point. The bid market contingency piece there, as you know, lots of things in our world right now are changing prices daily, and so we wanted to identify a contingency there because prices are continuing to change. So while we are going to, our intent is to accelerate a design process and give a order direct purchase option to be able to get as many of these things ordered as quickly as possible. But the prices are still changing every month. So we've built some things in there so that we don't have a surprise when we go to big orders. Do we want to go to the next slide?
Next slide.
There we are. So here on the, and I'm actually going to do these in reverse. On the right-hand side of the screen, we see the aquatic features that have previously been reviewed for the pool. These are some of the different items that were laid out in the concept. So we've got the lily walk, the agility course, the basketball hoop, rope swing, climbing wall. Each of those opinion and costs are outlined there. There's a subtotal opinion. There's installation costs on top of that, overhead profit on top of that. So your total aquatic features is that 486 number. We then again show design contingency and we show cost escalation. So your grand total of kind of adders to the main pool is another 607. That approximate number. So if we took the previous page plus the 607, that's what you're looking for at the existing pool and adding the waiting pool and all brand new equipment for both. Then the third body of water that we're looking at is the slides. And so when we look at the slides, we've got some good hard numbers here in the furnishing of the slide, and then we got actual quotes for delivery and install as well. So those are the first two lines there. So the furnishing of those slides is the 431. Delivery and install is 175,000. We've got an allowance for foundations of $60,000, and then we get into all the same items we looked at for the other bodies of water. You've got pipes and valves, the various pumps. We've got trash pump, filter pump, and then 2 feature pumps, 1 for each slide. And then you've got filtration, surge tank, and then all the various appurtenances, including chemical feeders, chemical controller, the heater, and then VFDs for both the filter pump and the feature pumps. So then again, laid out in the same manner, subtotal opinion there is the 882 number, add-on installation on top of that of 266, overhead and profit gets you to your total net for your aquatic features of 1.5 to add the entire slide tower and all of its associated equipment. And then we add on a design contingency and a cost escalation for market contingency. So that brings that features as a standalone feature to 1.9. And I know that was a mouthful. some buildings.
Right. And so when we take a look at the civil and site cost figures, one of the things that we have to take a look at is what it's going to cost to demolish the existing deck area that's there now. We're also expanding the deck area towards the road, and so that requires a retaining wall. And you can see there's also a cost in here for overhead utility location that gets that overhead utility out of the way of the deck area itself. Based upon the geotechnical report, we've also included a testing allowance in there because a lot of the material that's under the deck right now is this sandy, silty material that's loosely packed. And so what we want to make sure of is that when we put new foundations in, we're going to come in and undercut it and recompact underneath it there. So that's what that testing allowance is in there for. As far as the bathhouse is concerned, it's good that the bathhouse has good bones and we can go in there and completely renovate that area and put in all new fixtures and features. And we have 4 separate ADA handicap changing areas as well, which can also be used for family changing areas. So parents with small children, boys and girls, can go in there and use those facilities. We're replacing the equipment room now that we have essentially 3 bodies of water, the main pool, the wading pool, and the slide area. There's going to be a lot more equipment in there. And so what we're doing is completely tearing that building down and putting in a new facility that'll house all the equipment for all 3 of those water features. And so with that, the subtotal amount is $1.7 million. And again, adding the contingency, design contingency, and the cost escalation and big market contingency, that brings the total cost of renovating and doing the new site area to $2.1 million. So when we take a look at adding all these up together, it's $6 million, but there's a lot of opportunity in here to sort of pick and choose when it comes to the concept design, because this is that concept design. So obviously, one of the big things is there's $1.4 million in contingency in that $6 million. And then you also have an opportunity here to purchase some of these primary features and save some money by purchasing it as the city, saving some costs from taxes and those kinds of things as well, and having the contractor do the installation.
Can I ask you a question
Please.
about this overall, where you're at? It's the $6 million. So when I add up all the contingencies, it is around 1.4 million, but I have a question here because the way you have this broken down, you have pools, for example, 1,563,831. But when I go back to the page and I look at that contingency, it actually says 1,954,788. And under water features, you have it at 486,281. But when I go back and look at the contingencies, it's 607,852. So I think there's another, unless I'm totally misunderstanding this, but it looks like there's another $512,000 that's not reflected in these numbers. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of. I'll go back and take a look at those.
Okay, because like, for example, like pools, you have, 1.5 million, but then when I look at the contingency part, it's actually 1.9 million. See how these numbers then start to...
Right. So, I mean, this is our, the $1.5 million is our opinion of probable cost, and then all those other contingencies get added to that.
Right. I understand that, but do you not understand what I'm saying?
I guess I don't.
Okay. Well, we can move on then, and I'll come back to this and see if I can figure out how to state this a little bit better.
I have one quick question, if I could. What is the VFD? I saw that on like basically all of that equipment. Can you explain what that is?
JT, the VFD.
Was the question about VFD?
Correct.
Yes. So the VFDs, that's a variable frequency drive. What that does is it's like a rheostat that you use in your house for an air conditioner, except we're using it on pool pumps. What it does is it allows you to dial in the speed of the motor on the pump for maximum efficiency. On filtration pumps, it allows you to increase the speed of the motor as the filter gets dirty so that you can still maintain the proper gallons per minute or flow through that filter. And on the feature pumps, it allows us to dial into the exact needed flow for either the slide operation or the various water features. It's like we dial it down to exactly the level that we want, and then you set it at that level. What that does is it allows you to operate your pumps at maximum electrical efficiency, and bottom line is it saves you money on your electrical bill every month.
JT, what about the natural gas heater? We're not talking about heating the pool. What is that for?
So the heaters, those are optional items, and as we kind of laid this out, there's an opportunity there to extend your season by a week or two, at the front end and at the back end, if you wanted to extend your pool season. If you didn't want to do that, that's an easy option to be able to do. We can always leave, if you run services, you can always leave room for those in your facilities and have them in future years as well.
Will you talk to us about the chlorine, salt, all that? Talk to us about how we are taking care of the chemicals in the pool.
Sure, chemicals. What our approach at this stage has been that we would provide liquid feeders and liquid chemical containers. There'd be a shared liquid storage for chlorine and a shared liquid storage for muriatic acid. Both would be bulk delivered to the facility, and a shared tank condition, and all three bodies of water would draw their chemicals out of those shared containers. And we have automated chemical controllers which would dose those automatically to keep your water balanced and clean.
So what kind of work does maintenance need to do to take care of or run those? Are they just double checking the numbers to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they, what kind of involvement are they going to need to do on a routine basis?
From an operation standpoint?
Yeah.
We have those now.
Yeah.
So the maintenance and operation should be the same.
No, I was asking like for the
chlorine.
Yeah.
Yes, we have that now.
Okay.
Yes. So the maintenance and operation should be the same.
Okay.
It's just like our water system.
Okay. Good.
Yep, it's pretty straightforward. It's basically make sure that the chemical delivery guy shows up each week, so that there's chemicals in them, and then the chemical controller is going to give you a readout, and it's going to pop up a warning should you run out of chemicals. It's going to show you that your pH levels are off or your chlorine levels are off, and that can be programmed to send out a message to indicate that if somebody's not looking at that physically.
That's good. Will you talk to us a little bit about as we expand to the west, no, east, sorry. As we're expanding to the east into that space where the culvert, whatever it is now, that dip, what's going to be involved in? We're just filling that in, and is there anything we're having to take care of because there are utilities above that. That's got my turn on again. It's being told.
Okay, so the question has to do with the expansion of the deck area right in here. And so obviously there was a hillside that comes down through here. And so in order to expand this, in order to get everything on the same level, we're cutting into the hillside. And so there's a retaining wall that comes across through here. And then the utilities that are being relocated come right across the end of the deck as it is currently. And so that's what we're doing to expand the deck area and get a lot more space there.
Can I ask a few questions? Sure. Okay. The percent of overhead and profit appears to be about 30%. Is that correct? Usually I'm used to seeing maybe somewhere between 10 and 15% profit and overhead. Is that just something that you guys are kind of, making sure we have enough in that for, or?
Well, so it's overhead and profit. So overhead gets added on, and then there's profit. So there's at least 15% profit, and then 18% in overhead. So I just combine those together. So it's actually 33%.
Okay, because I guess that's where I thought the overhead would be part of the installation number. So what's the installation number then?
So JT, those are your numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're trying to account for is typically when we see bids, because I see contractor bids every week on projects, and what we're seeing them broken down in this fashion. So we're seeing all equipment and materials coming in as major lump sums, and often not even this broken down. And then we're seeing the subtotal of materials plus equipment, and then we're seeing the installation number. And the installation number is covering all your man hours and your equipment rentals and disposal fees and all of those things. And then your overhead and profit is covering all the various business costs that the contractors put on this lump sum at the top. So I'm just trying to match in what we're presenting to you something similar to what we anticipate the contractors are going to provide as they break down these bids.
And then I guess just so that I understand, you have a 5% design contingency. What does that include?
That allowance is there stating that there may be things that will change between what's shown on a rendering today to what's going to end up being documented in the construction documents. So there may be things that will change due to just the early nature of we were putting probable costs together based on renderings. So as the drawings get evolved, there will probably be some level of change, and we're just providing some level of contingency there to help cover those items that we may have not talked about or delineated as of this point in the process.
And so, Chris, a perfect example of that is the cost in here for the liner replacement acceleration. That cost was never in there until he contacted that one manufacturer who said, I can't do anything for you in 2023. Mm-hmm. So that cost was added in order to get another manufacturer in there to get that. And so those are the kinds of things that we can't see right now, but we want to have some contingency in there. We'd rather be a little bit high at this point than and address that with you from a budget standpoint than to be too low.
And something else that would also be if we take the lily pads out, then we take the lily pads out, but then we add something else to it. And so that's kind of that fudge room, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Others as you're looking.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to go, if I may, can we go back to my question? Because I really need to understand.
Sure.
This. If you take the last, probably the last screen that you have there, which is the overall opinion of probable costs, and you have building site, pool, the subtotal.
The last one? Is that where you're?
Yeah, okay. See, in that column, and all those numbers, they do add up to $6,084,745, right? Can you please go back up to the pool page, the pool's opinion of probable costs? Okay. So when I look at that, it says on here 1,563,831. But then when we look at the design contingencies of 5% and the cost escalation bid market contingency of 20%, those two items add up to an additional 390,958. So if I add that, that's not reflected in this pool part. So that's my confusion, because you say 1,563,000, whatever. But when I add up those contingencies of another almost $400,000, we're up to almost $2 million under the pools. And the same thing is happening again under the water features. So that's what I'm trying to understand, because if I add up what's not showing here, that's an additional $512,000. That's the part I'm really confused about.
Okay, so you're saying my design contingency and cost escalation contingency doesn't match the 25% of the figure above.
What I'm saying is, in the last page, the opinion of probable costs, where you have under pools, you have 1,563,000, whatever, some change. It does not include those contingencies, which then add an additional $390,000.
Okay, gotcha. Yes.
And so in the same thing,
that is correct.
Okay,
yes,
the same thing happens in slides. So now it's another $512,000 that's not reflected in the overall total. However, it is reflected in the 1.4 million in contingencies. I think there's a typo here or something, but it's a significant amount of money.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll make those adjustments and get that number back to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're looking at, 6.5, so over 6.6 million.
For everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and we're still at the conceptual stage, so that gives you an opportunity to say, well, we'll just take this out in order to meet our budget.
Sure. I just want to make sure that I understand, that there wasn't a misunderstanding, that I'm understanding that correctly.
Correct. You
so
are.
That's, and then we can go from there, but
Correct.
That's what I need to know. Thank you very much for clarifying it.
So then I feel like I would like to maybe open up also. So we've kind of had this discussion. I don't think we need to go into the resolution for that yet, but we can discuss our pool design portion of it. Is that good? So any changes or tweaks or questions about the actual design, and then we would be able to, by looking at this, we can see, okay, this reflects what we did in the renderings, what they gave us, and then we can say, okay, well, we know we don't want to do this, because last week we couldn't vote on it because it was just discussion last week. So I think now we may be prepared to actually say, all right, these are the adjustments that we want to make. These are the adjustments that we want to make, and then we can start doing that math. Then we can start doing that math and then see kind of where we're landing, according to their numbers, and then what adjustments we make. So is it okay if I do the polls and see how people feel about different features and that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, we have to have a process.
Yes.
Okay, you can either take all 6 of them at once and say, these are the items based on the discussion we had that we want to eliminate from the design. If that's easier, because I believe if you take them one by one, it's going to get to be a long process.
Right.
But if someone feels passionate that they want to leave in an item, then you can amend it or put it back in as you think need be.
Okay. That's your screen. So I can minimize mine.
Before we do that, though, I'd like to ask Dick a question.
Sure.
Okay, so some of these things in here that you're estimating, until we actually get to the point where we're ready to break ground and what have you, there are some things in here that, I mean, based on the area that we live in, that I think you've estimated really high. And so when we get into this process, when we're going to get a hard number when you finally do the design and say, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah, once we finalize the design, we are going to provide you with a hard cost estimate at the end, so you'll know how much you're anticipating the cost to be.
Yes, and so I mean, I think we're looking.
In addition to that, when it goes to bid, there's going to be hard numbers provided by multiple bidders.
Yes.
For the installation and construction. I guess the key thing to consider that I'd like to point out is that with major pieces of equipment and frankly the most expensive pieces of equipment, the opportunity to do an owner direct purchase on those items to avoid tax, avoid markups, etc., and to get things ordered so that they can be here in time. Those things will be the critical ones to make the decisions on up front, so that as we finish the design, those orders can be placed as you go up to bid. So those are the key things that will come in the form of either an owner direct purchase or a contractor bid that will give you the final hard numbers.
And that's great, because I mean, we can do that. All right.
Yep.
So what we need to do, Melissa, is we need to get these items that we think we want removed out of this design. And then what we have to do then, the ultimate goal tonight is to get to a number. All right. Because then we start the process rolling, because until we get bids, we have no idea what this is going to cost us. These are great estimates, and they've got contingencies built in them to cover some of the unexpected costs. But those are things that are down the road, and the savings that we'll get by buying the bigger items directly will be a good savings. Okay, but we need to get to a spot tonight where we eliminate the things that we talked about, and those design changes won't be anything at all, really, because we're taking them out, not adding things. The only addition that I know of is the lane markings in the bottom of the liner. And JT, you may know, the liner that you've talked with these folks, is it going to add an additional cost if we ask for lanes?
The markings on the floor of the pool are a nominal cost.
Right.
So they do have a cost, but it's not an exponential factor of what we're talking about. That's an easy thing to address. My question would be, if you're going to put the markings on the floor of the pool, are you wanting to put lane dividers, the floating lane dividers at the top surface as well, or just the markings on the floor?
The markings on the floor at this point.
Okay.
Are the lane dividers something that we can add later?
We still have them.
We do still, yeah.
But I don't know what condition they're in, so until we figure that out.
But I'm saying, do you guys need to know to attach them? They have to attach somehow. They're not just floating. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, if you've already got them, they've already got the ability to attach.
Oh, okay.
And that's a part of the steel gutter system, not the liner system. And just a reminder, we're keeping the existing stainless steel gutter as it's in really good shape.
And since we already have them, and their logic of us buying these direct instead of buying them through them, that's an easy marketable item that they can get access to for us.
Okay. All right, so let me ask a question. This is a question for you guys. Do you know if the slides bump us into being an aquatic center? And what does code say about that? Versus municipal? Is that something?
I am unaware of a code classification for aquatic center versus a recreational pool.
Yeah, I don't think the state health department distinguishes that.
No. We just know that each body of water has to have its own filtration and treatment system. So as long as you're complying with that, I don't see any additional requirements there by going that direction.
I know that there are no additional concerns from our insurance carrier. We have ran that. Mr. Azinger has a question, Melissa.
Yes, Tom.
Should we know the maximum amount of money we want to spend on this project?
Do you want to?
We should. When we get done, Tom, that's the last item that's down here, is we'll explain to you the financing options that are available, and then we need to know a limit. Okay, but we have options. We know what those are, and we'll explain those when we get to that point. All right?
Okay, so I'm going to ask a few more questions that are going to help us as we're beginning to process all of this. There is still interest in adding some splash elements, not a full-blown splash park, but whether it's something that mists, whether it's something that dumps water, jets that come up out of the ground, things like that. By adding something like that, are we adding a new system, or what is the process for that? So yeah, the wading pool and the slides and the main pool all have to have their own systems, but would the splash piece also, or would it share into one of them?
So if we add any type of spray element and that water lands in the wading pool or the slide doesn't technically have a pool. So if we were to add misters as an example, or like an atomizing fog type of system, that's a possibility. There really isn't an allocation for allowing a jet to land in a runout from a safety perspective. So if the water is landing in one of those pools, it becomes a part of the design and filtration and treatment for that system. If it's not landing in one of those, and we want to create a deck area, if you will, that had some jets coming up out of the deck, or elements that water was either spraying off of or falling off of or dumping off of, like example, a dumping pail or a dumping bucket, or something like that had spray that's coming from overhead, that would be a completely separate system, which would require its own filtration treatment term.
So JP, you all did a project in Orlando, Florida, at a housing development. We've seen the video from that. Very impressive. But you built that splash pad right underneath the slides. Are you familiar with the project? You've done so many, you probably aren't, but are you familiar with that project?
I believe I know the one you're talking about. Did it have multicolored blue flooring?
Yeah.
Yep, I know the project. It wasn't mine, but I've been there.
Yeah, and so that was yours. You all did that one. Martin Aquatics did it, and so
we designed that. Yes.
I mean, that's the kind of it's right where the space we have it. Do you have any guesstimate of what the cost was to add that?
Oh, not off the top of my head.
Kim, do you remember the name of the video?
I'd have to talk to my compatriot in the office and find out what that budget was. But I'm pretty sure that we would have numbers on that feature. That in the state of Florida, we've got a little different classifications. What that is here, that is a water recreation attraction facility. And in that classification, the slides are an independent piece there, and the surrounding portion of that is an interactive water feature. So all of those spray elements, etc., go to one tank, and the slides go to another tank. And so there's actually 2 filtration and treatment systems there for that facility.
Yeah, so if it's sharing the water, if it's dumping out into something else, like the little sprays that you have in that wading pool, they're spraying into that, so that would be
correct. So those are a part of the wading pool system. Correct.
So if we were to add something else splash-wise, it would almost have to make sure that it ends up under like an archway of mist as they come off of the run out, or is that kind of what we're talking about, or no?
That's a possibility. The other thing that we could look at is there are what I call an atomizing fog nozzle that uses a high pressure potable water system, and it discharges water that atomizes almost like a fog. So it's a very cooling type of mist. And those kinds of features can be integrated into vertical columns like spray towers, spray columns. They could be incorporated into the slide tower as a cooling element on the tower itself. Those use potable water as their source, and they don't actually leave a residual water. So those don't require a completely separate recirculation system. They do, however, have an RO filtration and a high pressure pump that are associated with those. But again, we've done those in different applications, and I could find a reference quote on what a system like that would cost.
Yeah, that would be nice to have something, a quote, or at least have the information so that we can make
a frame of reference.
Yeah.
The project was Windsor Hills.
Windsor Hills is what he said.
Yeah, that's it. I was searching for it in the back of my mind.
I have a question kind of along this line. I think maybe it's just me, but I was completely sticker shocked about $2 million basically for the slides with everything that has to happen with that. We're bumping out in order to put those slides in place. We're creating space we didn't have, which is great. And I'm interested in knowing how much a splash pad would cost with some elements versus this slide, because is it less expensive or more expensive? Because
it would have to be.
I know that's not the design that you were asked to prepare, but honestly, we didn't really, in my opinion, we shouldn't have not gone forward with that, because there was so much more that needed to be teased out. And so I'm really super uncomfortable about $2 million on a slide, in addition to the fact that we've had to bump out and create this space, okay, which I think is good, but there's a cost to that. And so we're going to take this real estate that we created and put it in a slide, which the slides are fun, but I'm interested in knowing if we took that space that we're going to create and put in a splash pad instead, what's the cost difference? And I know that that's open to interpretation, but just as a general rule, would that be less expensive?
Yeah, so if we could address that this way, whoever's controlling the screen, could you back up a couple of slides to where we have the slide costing? So if we looked at it this way, and this is, I'll call this down and dirty engineering, if we can for a moment. If you took the slide furnishing, delivery, install, and foundation in numbers, which are the first 3 numbers there, the 431, the 175, and the 60, the balance of those costs we would have on a splash pad. So if we took the 431 plus the 175 plus the 60, so what, 66 something in there. So $660,000. Instead of spending that on the slide tower and 2 slides, you spread that out over either a multi-level play climbing structure you know, a wet climbing structure that would be similar to a dry playground, multi-level climbing structure, but it would have water on it with some shorter slides coming off of it. Or it could be a series of nozzles in the deck, or it could be a series of vertical elements that come out of the deck, like you see at the Windsor Hills project. I would look at it as you take that $600,000, and that could be pared down. It could honestly, it could be paired up. I'm working on another project that's got a $1.2 million play feature in the middle of the interactive one feature. So the scale of these can go up and down on a sliding scale, and they, with the amount of space that they take as well. But in the same footprint, for the same dollars, you could create a stellar splash pad. It's a different program, right? So it's a different direction. But just like with the slide towers, you can dial those up or down. So, you know, the base cost of the furnishing and slide is $431,000. So you can easily take that slide tower. If we take the height of that slide tower, we lowered it by 5 feet. You're taking away the length of fiberglass that it takes to get to the ground. So you're taking away some of the fun and some of the excitement of the ride, but you're directly impacting your overall cost. Same thing if you took it 5 feet up or 10 feet up. As you raise the slide tower, you're adding additional fiberglass, additional length, additional thrill, but you're increasing cost. So we can go up and down in scale in the slides. You can also go up and down in scale with the splash pad. So it's certainly something that could be reviewed as an alternate. We currently don't have that in our current design scope, but obviously it's something that's in our wheelhouse.
The one thing that I would like to remind you all was at the last meeting we had, I asked you all to think about the age group that you want to service. And so when you talk about the slide being for, 10 to 20 years old, as opposed to the splash pad, like part of the city of Parkersburg has, which is, 2 to 10, that's the difference. It depends on what audience, what age group you want to have at Jackson Pool. So you can't have both. It just doesn't work.
I think the slide actually could serve, they have some really daring 5-year-olds, but if they meet the minimum height requirement, the slide could serve anybody over 5 or 6, that really wants to do it. So it's not just, an older kid thing, it also serves children as well. So we're not taking that away from the children, it's for them also.
Well, and that's the whole point of that is, and I think Parkersburg has got one of the finest splash pads facilities I've ever seen. It is incredible what they did, but I do not believe that young adults, teenagers are, they're not going to do that. That system wasn't designed to handle kids that size. And so, but it depends on what age group that you want the Jackson Pool to service.
I don't think we're having to necessarily choose. I think we can balance. And that's where I feel like by trimming up some of the things, all the great things that we have, by trimming up some of the stuff that was included in the rendering, I think we can cover and have a balanced space where moms and small ones are provided for, where children have lots of options. Children would actually have the most options because they're teenagers are not going to go to the waiting pool. Anybody could. The children probably could do almost the most. They would have a free play space and the apparatuses and things that they want to do, along with the slide and the diving stuff, all of that. And then you still have things that older kids are going to like. So I think it's possible personally to not have to target a particular audience. I feel like we can be balanced with that, and the programming that we do around it will complement it. You know, when we open the pool for certain hours for certain groups of people and schedule it that way, I think that will also be part of our total package for what we offer.
I agree with you. There needs to be a balance. And that's what I'm struggling with, because I see on the aquatic feature side, you know, I think we talked about the lily pad walk going away for various reasons, and I think everybody's probably in agreement on that. But you still have the agility course, the basketball hoops, the rope swing, and the climbing wall, and those are all great things, right? And, you know, your total of your aquatic features is nearly $500,000, and then when you add the contingency stuff to it, now we're at $607,000. And so while I think that a lot of the same people that are going to enjoy those aquatic features, because they're older, maybe they're preteens or teens, are going to really love the slide too. So this is where I struggle. I see little toddlers enjoying the wading pool, and I really appreciate you considering taking that from 12 inches to 18 inches. I think that's a great improvement. But I worry about those kids that are, you know, 4, 5, 6, because there's not a lot, especially if they're not good swimmers yet, there's not a lot there. And while, yeah, you know, you'll have a daring 5-year-old, I had a sister who was a very daring kid at Jackson Park Pool and did a lot of things going off that high dive, and my mom didn't know about it, and boy, did I get in trouble for that. So, you know, you're going to have a lot of parents who are going to be resistant to little kids going up 22 feet to go off a slide. So I don't feel like this is particularly balanced. So that's why that's where I'm at with it. I'm still trying to understand. And it's not, I mean, it's good stuff. It's just, I think we're missing a certain segment of the kids in Vienna.
Okay. So we need to move forward. All right. Is there anything else before we?
Yeah, can I just ask a quick question? Because I want to make sure that when we're looking at these costs, we kind of understand the whole cost. So the way I understand it, we don't have Omni signed on for any kind of construction administration. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that. I'll go back and check to be sure.
Okay, because I'm just kind of curious to see, you know, how much additional costs or fees are we going to have to pay for construction and administration fees on a project, especially of this size.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a small amount, so that could be, you know, I don't even know, is it $100, $200 more $1,000?
Yeah, I think we do have that included on a biweekly basis, but what's not included is anything beyond that. So particularly when it comes to, you know, digging up and laying pipe in there really should be somebody there to oversee that. And so that kind of oversight is not included in there, but it was something that we would certainly recommend that you do. Because that's, you know, if a system goes bad, lots of times it's in an area you can't see anyway. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But at that time, we didn't know to what extent, you know, all this equipment was going to be. But normal biweekly construction administration, I do believe is in that fee proposal we gave you.
Okay, because I read through it here this afternoon and I didn't see it in there, so I just wanted to make sure that $280,000 that we're paying you has some kind of construction administration fees included in that, because if not, you know, how much more will that be for us? Because that's just more money into this project.
I'll confirm, but I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You want to do it now, Jim?
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session under 69A for advanced construction planning. I think there's a couple things I'd like to address that are permitted as exceptions to the open meeting rules. I have a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We go into executive session to, what section, Russ?
69A for
69A.
Advanced construction.
Advanced construction. All right. All those in favor of going to executive session, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? All right, let's go into, we'll let the record show we went into executive session at 8:20.